So today in my little 5" by 7" journal, and this is actually a watercolor 140-pound paper visual journal. I have already started this just because it's just going to be a very simple painting. I did use my tracer before I traced the two little sailboats on. I'm going to show it up close. I did put a background on, and I'm going to show you what I used for the background. Antique parchment, just a cream color of paint, and I put the tiniest dab of golden yellow in that and put the background kind of just a little bit below the horizon line and up. From here down, it's going to be the color of more of a watercolor. Bluish and turquoise-ish and greenish and stuff going on down here. And then up here, I'm going to cover part of the sky, kind of wispy, with some blue. So if you want to do this painting and you want to start it the way I did, you would just use your cream and your yellow to just paint a little background on the upper 2/3, I would say, of the paper. And then you can trace on your sailboats or draw them on however you want to do that. And these are going to be more representational, very abstract-ish in nature. So I think I'm going to start with the sky. And I have light blue, and this is apple barrel. I also have summer sky. So I thought I'd put a little bit of each on my plate just to see. Let's put it right here. I'm just going to put a little dab of each one, and I just want to play with them and see which one I like best for the sky, because I'm not sure. I may end up thinking they're pretty close, so I want to show you up close. And while I'm doing that, I just need to kind of redo something here. Trying to get my laptop working. Okay, so let's go into this light one first. And I've got this flat brush. It's an old brush. And I just kind of want to really be, I call it swish swash, swish swash, swish swash, because I don't want it to cover up all that beautiful yellowish parchment paperish color underneath. I want some of that to show through, but I do want to kind of get right up here next to my sails and then kind of bring it down. And I'm going to leave some of that cream yellow color right there, but let's just kind of swirl around, and I'm trying to be quick. And so if you go over your sailboats, that's okay. We're going to be painting those, and we can obviously just fix that. Any little swirls that you get on the sails. So just swirling that in. And again, I'm kind of leaving that little bit of cream down there. Now I'm going to just kind of take a look at it and see, do I like that? I might put a little bit of the darker color of blue in a few places just to add a little interest. So I'm just going to, again, just try to be real swish, swash, swish, swash. If anybody has a better term. I've heard the term scumbling, and I know what I think scumbling is. I think it's kind of like when you just go round and round with a kind of a dry brush, but I might be wrong. There's so many terms, and I think people use them so differently sometimes that it's really hard to know. Okay, so I'm coming in with some of that light blue again, just to kind of lighten it up in a few spots, because I really put that dark blue kind of everywhere. And so I'm just lightening it up again. But I do want to leave lots of that cream peeking through. So there's that. Okay, now I think I will turn my attention to the water next. And I'm gonna use a combination of Bahama Blue, and I'll just put this right here on this dried bit of green. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of that. I'm also gonna put a little bit of this, wait a minute. Did I get two? No, Bahama Blue, and this is Bimini Blue. They're a little different. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of each one on here. And I'm gonna, well, no, let's keep going. I'm gonna put a little bit of Kelly Green on my plate. Let's put the Kelly Green right here. Not much at all. And let's put some of that, well, let's just get white so that in case I need to blend, I can. Sherry, you like swish swash. Okay, that's great. It's going to be swish swash then. All right, so now let's grab that brush. I'm just gonna kind of dry it off a little bit on my paper towel. And I'm just gonna kind of pull in different colors to see what I'm liking. And I'm gonna just start with this Bimini Blue. I'm gonna take it right up. And let's just get like a straight line back there. And we'll come under this sail and around this boat. And let's pull it down. So same thing, there's a little bit of a, that's where the boat is. So I'm just gonna pull that Bimini Blue down all the way on this side. Now this side, I'm gonna leave room for reflections of the boats. So I may not do much of this Bimini Blue there because that's gonna be a distinct different color. But let's go ahead and pull our Bimini Blue, and I just kind of want to see where I put my horizon line. And just coming down, cutting in around that boat. And let's pull that Bimini Blue on down. And I'm going to pull it all the way down on this side too. Might go ahead and pull some of that into the bottom of the page and just lightly, light, putting it there. Okay, now I am going to go into my green, and I'm going to just kind of add a little bit, not much, green, and I'm just going to try to keep it thin. And I'm just going to pull a little bit of that green right there. And let's pull some of the Bimini Blue back over that. And then I'm gonna get a little bit of white, and I'm just gonna lighten the whole thing up. And I'm even gonna pull that up a little further, all the way up. I'm just kind of using whatever's remaining in my brush to pull that up over that Bimini Blue. And I'm just trying to give a little variety. And I might pull a little bit of that green. Let's get my brush wet. All right. And so I'm just gonna get my brush kind of wet and just pull a little bit of green down here too. Okay. And then I may put just the tiniest hint of green kind of right here as part of the shadowing. And then I'm gonna go into my Bimini Blue straight. And then I think this horizon line needs a little bit of straightening up. So I'm gonna pull that right up. And again, kind of go around my boat. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and make some shadows. So let's get this brush dry. And I'm thinking I'm gonna use this even smaller, well, that's too wispy. Let's pick, I guess, what brush do I want? I think I'll just pick this one. Goodness. think I'll just pick this brush. And I want to go into a darker blue. So I did get a dark blue out called 2 Blue. And that is going to be my shadow under the boat. And it's not very much of a shadow at all. So I'm just going to dip in. And I'm going to just kind of come straight out like a little point. And then under this boat. And I'm just kind of trying to make a, like, what I think the water would make it look like as a shadow. And this is just the blue part. I'm going to go into my other blue and just lighten some of that in a few places. Just, again, kind of trying to get the effect of the water rippling under that. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull a little shadow under this boat over here. Just the tiniest bit of that blue, that darker blue. And kind of pull that down. Again, just like in a few ripply places. And then I'm just going to take that brush and whatever's left in it, kind of pull it down. I'm going to have to go into my water and wet that because I had to dip back in and I really don't want it to be dark at all. So I'm just kind of pulling. And sometimes if I put it in and I don't really want it to be that pronounced, I'll just kind of rub over it with my finger. But I'm going to leave that shadow the way it is. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to straighten that. I'm going to come out straight. Okay. Now I'm going to go back in to my Bimini blue, and I'm just going to lightly come over some of this with the Bimini blue. All right, and that's a lot of green over here too. I'm going to also really lighten this up with some white, this Bimini blue, and kind of do some covering of that. Next, I'm going to go into my pink, and I have this incredible pink parfait. It's very liquidy, so it's extremely old. I don't know how old this is, but I have had it for a long time. I'm going to switch to this small little brush because this is a small area. I'm going to make the sail pink. This really light pink. So I'm just going to try to get my straight line on that side. And then a little bit of a straight line on this side. Boy, that's funny how that paint smells. It's so old. It's got a very strong chemical odor to it. Okay, so there's one. Now I'm going to take this pink brush and get into my white, and I'm going to mix that. Make a very light pink. And I am going to go ahead and pull the light pink back here on this sail. And this sail is behind the big sail. And then I will pull a little bit of, well, I guess we'll just stay with the light pink. Let's just stay with the light pink. And I might even make it lighter. So I went back into my white. because I want this almost to have a sense of like it's fading out in the background. Okay, so just to show you, really, really light pink. This one is definitely a little darker. I'm gonna bring in a little bit of purple at this point. Okay, let's put a little dash of purple. And what I was thinking was I'm just gonna add purple in down here and just kind of give a little hint of shadows that might be hitting that sail. I'm just gonna kind of feather that up a little bit. And then I'll go back into my white and my pink and just soften that edge a little bit on that purple so that it kind of almost just is blended back in. So I hope that you can see that. Okay, same thing over here. I'm going to take that little tiny hint of purple and just put a little bit down there. Just a tiny, tiny bit. And just kind of hint at some shadows going on there. And again, I want to go back into my white and pink, and I kind of want to blend it in. Just blend that so that it's a very soft, it's got a softness to it. Let's put just a little hit down here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pull some of this pink in on the water. I'm just pulling that down like the sails reflecting in the water. And then same thing over here, except I might pull in that bright pink and really brighten that in a few places. Now, not too much. I need to just maybe tone that down a little bit. But I want to be a little bit more aggressive with this sail reflection. I don't know if aggressive is the right word. Okay, so now I'm just gonna kind of take a peek at what I've got, and I wanna add some coral. So I've got flamingo coral. And that's the thing about these craft paints, is they're a dime a dozen. I mean, you can get these dirt cheap. And therefore, I kind of have collected a good many colors over the years. So this coral is what I'm going to use for this sail on this side. And I do want to kind of slow down so that I can get a nice kind of a sharp line. And I'm definitely keeping this sail out in front of that faint pink sail. Okay, so I'm pulling the straight edge right across, and then let's get a little bit more on the old brush and take it up. Okay. There's that sail. And now this one has a shadow too. I might just dip into my blue, just the tiniest bit, and just kind of pull a little bit of that in. Let's rinse my brush though, and just try to like almost blend that in to that orange. Just hitting a little hint of a shadow there on that sail. I'll show you up close. And then this pink over here, I kind of want to mix this coral with the pink. Now that I'm looking at it, and I kind of want to make that more of a corally pink. at least in some spots. And I'm kind of pulling it over that purple shadow a little bit. Okay, so that's just a little bit more coral pink. And then this one is pretty bright. So I'm gonna tone it down too by going over it with whatever's left on my brush from that coral pink. Let's pull that all the way down. In fact, I'm gonna pull it right over the shadow that I had put in here too. And there's still a hint of a shadow. Now I need to get this coral pink in here. So I'm just gonna pull in some of these. And then I'm gonna just rinse the old brush and just kind of blend that coral a little bit in with the pink that's been underneath it. Maybe do a little dab down here, kind of dabbing back into my coral. Rinsing my brush so that it's not so bright. All right, now I want to deal with this. So I've got to go back into my Bimini blue, and I'm gonna pull that Bimini blue back down along the boat here and pull it into that greenish color. And then I'll let it kind of work its way in. I want to pull some of that like back in here. So this is the Bimini blue again. And now I've got to go really carefully. I've got to go between the sail and the boat. And just give that little hint of ocean peeking through. Between the bottom of the sail and the top of the boat. And there's a pole. I'm kind of leaving a little white space for the pole. Just a little hint of the, where it ends with that pole there. Okay, I'll show you up close. Okay, now for the boat itself, I'm gonna go back to that blue that I used in my sky, and this will be the color of the boat. So it's a light color. Okay, so we've got that filled in. I'm gonna mix a little bit of white with that blue for this boat because this one's in the background, so it's even more kind of faded. And just pulling that boat in right there. And then let's see. There's a tiny, tiny little line that I need to try to be very thin. So I'm just gonna grab a little tiny side of my brush and try to pull a little line to show one of the lips of the boat right here. Same thing here, just a little dark hit to show the top, and maybe even this. And let's see. I might pull in just like some little stripes, kind of, but just let them be kind of smeary. Okay, and then I'll pull in a little blue down closer to here. I really want that dark blue right at the very bottom of the boat, because that's where the shadow is really reflecting. Same thing here. Okay. Excuse me. Now, I am going to try to put a little stripe of this Bimini blue down the middle of the not way up there actually. Let's pull this Bimini blue just right down here actually. And then as I get up, I'll lighten it. I'll make this the blue from the sky, like the sky is showing through the middle of where the sails are, and then I'll just kind of pull that right down here as well. And then I'm going to go back into my coral because I want to sharpen up that coral sail, give it a little bit more of a point at the top. And then I want to hint at the fact that there might be people in there, and I do mean hint. And so I'm just going to put some little dark dots in the boat, and then I might hit it with a little white dot, just insinuating that there might be people's heads sticking up in this boat. I don't know if that's really doing much, but I tried. Okay, now I'm gonna step back and I'm gonna see that I kind of want this side to be a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna get that white and I'll mix it with the Bimini blue over here. And I don't want it too light, but lighter than it was. And I'm just gonna pull this lighter Bimini blue on this side. And I'm gonna kind of pull it under here. And I just am doing this to try to give the water more variety. And in the background, it might be a little bit lighter. This dried really dark. That's the thing about acrylics. They definitely dry darker than when they're wet. So it is really good to kind of wait for it to dry, step back, and then see if you want to alter anything, which I do, so. Yeah, I just didn't want that to be that dark. Okay, so they're a little lighter there, and now I'll kind of come in with this lighter and hit it in a few places. In here. And pulling in a little bit of that lighter, kind of striping it over that green a little bit. Yeah, I'm just kind of pulling some of that in almost like a striped scenario. Stripes. Okay, and then I'm just gonna kind of pull that up and see. I like my sky, but I might want to work a little bit more of this antique parchment over the top of it. Let's see, what brush do I want to try to use for that? Let's go back to this scruffy brush. So this antique white, I'm just kind of coming in, covering over the lines from the tracer, and I'm going to blend that antique kind of up into the sky a little bit more. Same thing over here. Let's grab some antique white, cover the lines from my tracing paper, and just pull up some of that antique in a little higher. In a few spots, I just want that sky a little bit lighter. And maybe even pull in a few of those antique strokes in a few spots up here too. Okay, the only thing I might want to do is I may want to go in and cover over some of that thick, fat blue line of the sail, but I'm gonna step back from it and just kind of see, does it give a hint of kind of what I was wanting it to? And it does. I think this could actually be a little bit more pink, but I'm gonna leave it alone for now. I'm gonna let it just dry and let it sit. And this is what I do with every single painting. I stop and then I leave it. I do not look at it, and I come back to the room and I look at it again, and then I'm like, I like this about it, I don't like this, I see where the composition might be off, I see where maybe I could change something. But this is just meant to really be a quick little exercise with acrylics of just a very representational picture of two little sailboats out there on the water. And I can see where I do want to make one little change right now, and that is to, let's see here. I'm going to get some of that real light blue from the sky, and I'm just going to lengthen that little boat behind this boat just a little bit. There. I think that makes a little bit more sense now to my eye. Anyway, there's our cute little quickie art journal painting for today. Thank you so much for joining me.